Welcome back to another episode of the Next Level Minds podcast. My name is Chris Chapman, and I am your host. If this is your first time tuning in, then this is a podcast dedicated to those who want to reach a next level in their faith, family, fitness, finances, and embrace the American freedoms that we have in this amazing country. And the way in which we help do that is by interviewing guests and really walking through their story of how they got from point A to point B and just overcame various setbacks, adversities, failures along the way. We also engage in a number of different solo episodes where I talk about things like personal development, goal setting, habit formations, finances, anything and everything under that personal development umbrella. Now, this is your first time tuning in. We have a goal here, and that's to impact over 1 million people by helping them reach a next level. So, if you have not done this already, please take the time to subscribe to Next Level Minds on Apple Podcast. Share this episode with a family member, friend, or colleague. And if you're really feeling special, leave a review of Next Level Minds and let me know what you think. Let's go ahead and dive into this week's solo episode, which is a Motivation Monday style episode. And for those of you who've listened for a while now, you know I don't really have any notes for these. It's just me talking off the cuff for any personal development related topics. So today what I'm going to talk about is more in the habit side of things. And it's really talking about your, daily ritual habits versus your adapted routine and habits. And what I mean by that is, your daily routine, right? When you're, waking up, going to work, getting home, going to sleep, kind of that like traditional routine, and then you're mixing in like the morning routine, the evening routine, all the habits in between, all of those things, right? But there's the adaptable schedule, right? When you're out of town, when you're on vacation, when you have a super, super tough week, right? Like things and conditions are not always going to be perfect. In fact, they rarely are going to be perfect. Circumstances are rarely going to be in your favor. So it's very important to be able to adapt to your circumstance, your situation, to be able to still keep up the right habits, routines, behaviors that are going to move you forward towards the success that you do want in life. So for me, if you've been following me for a little bit, you know how I have an extremely locked in morning routine, right? I wake up before 5:30. I get a workout in. I'm at the gym by like 5:45. Get home from the gym at like 6:50. Usually we'll eat a quick breakfast, take a shower. I've been doing a little bit of intermittent fasting, so I don't eat breakfast every day, but on the days I do eat breakfast, I'll eat breakfast. And then what I'll do from there is it's about like 7:15, 7:30. I'll usually spend 30 minutes doing a couple different things. One, reading scripture. Then I'll review my goals. Then I'll do some visualization for a couple minutes. I'll do some like breath work or meditation. And then I'll usually read a few pages of a personal development book. And then I write down my power list, which is 5 critical tasks that I'm going to get done that day. And by the time that's over with, it's like right around 7:50, 8 o'clock. I work from home majority of the days that I'm not traveling. So then I start my, 8 to 5 corporate sales job right around 8 a.m. But that routine is grounded in physical health, mental health, spiritual health, financial health, like everything's super locked in before I even open up my work laptop. Now, that's when everything's going great, right? But then there's the, travel that happens, the vacation that happens, the super busy weeks where I'm like, I have to start work at like 6:45 today, and if I want to get everything done, right? So what about those days, right? Well, those days, that's when I highly suggest being more intentional about planning in advance. So for example, my wife and I just got back from a anniversary trip off the coast of Georgia. Super, super cool trip. If you haven't done this already and you're local to the southeast, I would highly suggest checking out Jekyll Island. Super sick beach spot. But anyway, like I'm on vacation, right? I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. when I'm on vacation. I'm not going to spend like an hour in a morning routine, right? But how am I going to keep up with physical health, mental health, spiritual health, financial health? Like, how am I going to still check those boxes in this case while I'm on vacation? And that comes from proper planning. So what I did a couple days before the trip, I was like, okay, what are we doing on Thursday? What are we doing on Friday? What are we doing on Saturday? Kind of like mapping out what the day looks like before we even get there. And then I'm like, okay, cool. So breakfast is at this time Friday. We're going to do this at this time on Saturday. And like I already had a game plan going in of like, okay, and this is something that I talked to my wife about. So we're on the same page. It's like, okay, like, we should get to breakfast before 9 on Friday. So, let's get up at this time. Let's hit a workout at this time. Let's, get back and change at this time. Let's go to breakfast at this time, right? Like we're talking about this before we have even left for the trip, right? So when I show up to the hotel, we know that we're still going to get the physical health box checked off. We're still going to get the mental health because we mapped out, okay, when are we going to spend the time reading? We're still going to get the financial health because I'm still going to like look over my finances for a minute or two just to make sure everything is going well. And then we're still going to get all of those important boxes checked, right? But that came from proper planning, right? I don't know if you guys have heard the phrase proper planning prevents poor performance. Well, that's especially true when you're going on like a vacation. So every day, if you're following me on Instagram, like I still spent the time to work out, still spent the time to visualize, I still spent the time to read some of my personal development book, right? Like, did it happen at 5 a.m.? No. But I got up at like 7:30, read a couple pages, went to the gym. Maybe I didn't work out 45 minutes or an hour, but still got in a 15, 20-minute workout. Right. And the importance of this is just staying consistent with the right habits, routines, and behaviors, even when you're on vacation. So for those who have a vacation coming up, like first piece of advice is number one, plan in advance, right? Plan how you're going to get your workout in, plan how you're going to get your pages in, plan how you're going to get your important needle moving habit activities done, even when you're on vacation. Second piece of advice I would say is remain consistent no matter what. Even if you're like, you know what, this vacation's crazy, I got a lot going on. I only have time to read one page today. One page is better than nothing. I only have time to like do 20 push-ups in the room, 50 jumping jacks, and 25 body weight squats. I got 3 minutes. But you know what? I'm going to still be consistent by getting some sort of physical activity in, even if it's very minuscule, right? The point is to stay consistent no matter what. The other adaptable routine I want to talk about is business travel, right? Like this is something, especially when I first started traveling for work, that like I would get thrown off of a lot, just because I love seeing a new city. I love hanging out with people. It's definitely easy to get distracted. Next thing you know, you're out till like midnight having happy hour drinks with your coworkers, and you're like, well, dang, I got to get up at like 5 a.m. if I want to get this routine in. That ain't going to work. So over the last few years, like I've been very intentional on these work trips to still have the same mentality of like, you know what, these boxes, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, these things are going to get checked off no matter what. And that also takes planning in advance, right? So like I'll look at my work calendar before a work trip and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to arrive at this time. I have a dinner at this time. I have, a happy hour at this time. We have a breakfast coffee thing at this time. Like, how am I going to fit all this in? Because my schedule is much more unique when I'm traveling than it is when I'm just, working from home, right? So that's when I suggest calendar blocking, right? Like, okay, I get in at 4 p.m. I haven't had a chance to read my pages. I'm going to check into the hotel, get there like 4:30. 4:45 on my calendar is read personal development, right? And so I know immediately when I get into my room, look at my phone, look at my calendar, I'm like, oh, it's 4:45. I got 15 minutes of reading to do before I do anything else. And then, I wake up the next day and I'm like, all right, maybe I didn't wake up at 5 because we were at a late dinner, and I used to not prioritize sleep at all. And then I realized that sleep is very, very, very important when it comes to like your mental and physical health. So I still do try to get a decent amount of sleep on work trips. But like, okay, maybe I'm not getting up at like 5 a.m. because I maybe went to bed a few hours later, but I'll get up at like 5:45, 6 a.m. And instead of doing an hour-long workout, I'll go down to the hotel gym. I'll walk on an incline for 10 minutes. I'll do 5 minutes of pull-ups, and I'll stretch for 10 minutes or something, right? Like an adaptable routine. But the point is the boxes are still getting checked off, right? So I'm painting some real life examples for you all because I want you to think about, your vacations that you have coming up, your work travel that you have coming up, your just crazy Mondays that you have coming up, and have an adaptable routine that you build out in advance of how exactly you're going to get the most important boxes checked, right? Your spiritual bucket, your mental health bucket, right? That's like personal development, reading, things like that. Your physical health bucket, that's working out, that's running, that's walking. Your financial bucket, right? What is that bucket? That's like reviewing your goals, reviewing maybe your net worth, reviewing your stocks, right? Like anything financial related. Think about in advance. That's a challenge I have for you guys. So that's just what I wanted to share, y'all. Definitely easier to keep up the routine, the habits on just those standard days where, you're just at home, or maybe you're just commuting to an office, right? But like those days where you're vacationing, you're out of town for work, all that stuff, like those are the days where I see a lot of people unfortunately get thrown off. So I'm here to tell you, plan in advance, calendar block, and remain consistent in the right habits, routines, and behaviors that are going to move you forward. If you need help figuring out what exactly you need from a habit routine perspective to align to your goals, or even need help writing your goals, figuring out your goals for your life, reach out to me on Instagram at ChrisChapChap. We'd love to help you. We also have a number of different goal setting episodes, habit formation episodes that you can go back and listen to. But other than that, hope everyone enjoyed this week's episode of Next Level Minds, and I hope everybody has a fantastic week ahead.